Okay, these problems are interesting and I like them, but if you don't know how to do them, then just pay close attention, especially to this first one. Okay, we're looking for things that form 90-degree angles and we can find the area from that. Well, we have two different sets of values, one of which we're missing, that form 90 degrees. I'm going to do it in two different colors, okay? I'm going to do this set in green here. These two form that 90-degree angle. And what are those two measurements? Well, you can see up top that 14, so you know at the bottom here this is also 14. And what is that height? That height is 8. So we've got essentially 14 times 8 will give us the area of this. And let's just calculate it because we're here. 8 times 4 is 32. Carry the 3. 8 times 1 is 8. Plus 3 is 11. So we've got 112. We don't know what they are in terms of units, but we know that it's an area, so we would call that units squared. Okay, that's what the area is. That is not the answer to this problem, though, because what they're asking for is what's the height of, what's the h, that height that they give us. So what are those lengths? I'm going to do those in pink. This is h. We don't know what it is. And it's at a 90-degree angle to this side, which because we know that the opposite side is 10, that side's also 10. And so we've got two sides, the base of 10 and the height of h, multiplying together to be the area as well. So we know also, we could say that 10h would also give us the area, okay? Well, if we know what the area is, we know that 10h needs to multiply together to be the area of 112. We found the area using the two sides, the base and the height in green that you see. And we know then that what's in pink, that base of 10 and that height of h, 10 times h or 10h, has to be equal to the area of 112. So we set 10h equal to 112, and then we're going to divide both sides by 10, and we get 10h divided by 10 equals 112 divided by 10. And what we get then as a result is h equals 11.2. And what they're asking is find the value of h. So we've done that. We find the value of h, and we're done with this one. Let's try this with a couple more, 12 and 13. So here on 12, we see what two measurements do we know. I'm going to do it the same way. I'm going to highlight them in green, what we know. We know that this height here is 0.3, and this base over here is 0.4. Okay, it doesn't matter that you don't see them quote unquote meeting, okay, because essentially this height right here, I'll do this in pink for a second, that's 0.3, right? That's the height, regardless of where you do it, right? Those lines all have the same height, okay? So it doesn't matter that they're technically not touching. That's irrelevant. It's a height of 0.3 and a base of 0.4. And what do you get when you multiply 0.3 times 0.4? 0.3 times 0.4. Well, 4 times 3 is 12, and we have 1 2 digits after the decimal. So we have 1 2 digits after the decimal. 0.12 is what the area is, okay? So if the area is 0.12, can we find two other values, one of which we're missing, that should also find the area? Well, here we've got this pink base of 0.5, and here we've got this height of h. So we can say then, and I'll write this in pink, 0.5 times h is equal to what we know the area is of 0.12. Okay? And then what do we have to do to solve for h? We need to divide both sides by 0.5, whatever's in front of h. Okay? So we say 0.5h divided by 0.5 equals 0.12 divided by 0.5. And then we get h, the height, is equal to 0.5 divided by, 0.12 divided by 0.5. I happen to know that dividing by 1/2, that's what 0.5 is. Dividing by 1/2 is the same as multiplying by 2. So it's like I'm multiplying 0.12 by 2, and I'm getting 0.24. Okay? That's the height. And of course, I probably should, and I don't think that I did on the last one, I should say, we don't know what the units are, let's call them units. Okay? The height is 0.24 units. Yeah, so let's do that with the last one, and hopefully with the last one you can try and figure this out yourself first, where you're seeing what two measures that meet at 90-degree angles do you have, and you can calculate the area from that, and then you can take the other two measurements that meet at 90-degree angles, one of which you don't know, and set them equal to the area to solve for it. Let's try. So looking at this again, and I'll just do it again one more time the same way. What two measurements do we have that we know? Well, we've got here this green base of 18 and this green height of 12. Okay, and since it's base times height for parallelograms, we could say 18 times 12. What do we get? We get 16, carry the 1. 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 is 3. 0 placeholder, cross that out. 1 times 8, 8. 1 times 1, 1. And when we add them, we get 216. Okay? Now, what's the other thing that we need to figure out? Well, we've got, on this one, the other way that we could calculate this, if we had all the measurements, would be this base, 13, times this height, but we don't have that height. They do meet at 90-degree angles, and how do I know that? I know that because these two opposite sides are parallel, so if this is 90 degrees, that means this must be as well. Okay, so I know they're meeting at 90-degree angles, and so now we can essentially say that 13h has to be equal to the 216 units squared area we know. Okay, and I'll write the units squared at the end. So how do we then solve for h? Well, we've got to divide both sides by 13. So we've got 13h divided by 13 equals 216 divided by 13, and we get h is equal to. Now, this is an important bit. If you did this on your calculator, and you should do it on your calculator, because I want you to try what I'm about to do here, okay? If you did this on your calculator, you would essentially do 216 divided by 13. So I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to do 216 divided by 13, and I get 16 point blah, blah, blah. You're going to get some crazy number. I'm going to write that down here as, let's say, as an approximately equal to, okay? Approximately equal to 16.615, blah, blah, blah. Okay? That's not what we want to have as an answer, though. Let's do an exact answer, and I'm going to show you how to do it. If you were dividing this by saying 216 divided by 13 here up top, you would say 13 goes into 21 once, and we've got 8 left over, and you bring that 6 down. How many times does 13 go to 86? Well, look down here at the bottom. We already know it goes in 16 times and then some remaining amount. So let's do that. Let's say, okay, well, that's clearly going to go in 6 times. And so what's 13 times 6? 13 times 6 is 78. So we take away 78. And we get 8. What does that mean? Well, if we had a decimal and we started bringing zeros down, we would get the decimal number that we had. Okay, but instead of doing that, let's just say we've got a remainder of 8. We're going to use that as the numerator. And we divided by 13. We're going to use that as the denominator. And now we've got an answer that is an exact fractional answer. So better down here at the bottom, we would say h is exactly equal to 16 and 8/13 units. Because we found a height that was just a single length, and we don't say unit squared for a length. Okay, that's the exact answer. But how would you do it on your calculator? If you're going to do it quickly, you would do, and follow my little laser pointer here, you would do 216 divided by 13, and as soon as you identified it, this whole number 16, you'd say, okay, we've got whole number 16 so far. Now we need to figure out what the fractional amount is. So do the number you divided by, 13 times 16. And if you do, I'm going to do it on my calculator again. 13 times 16 is 208. In order to do 16 full groups, these 16 full groups, we needed how many of these 216? Okay, we needed to make 16 groups of 13. We do 16 times 13, and that was 208. So if you had 216 and you used 208 of them, how many are left? There's 8 left. 216 minus 208 is 8 left. And what are they? Well, they are 13ths, because that's what we divided by. That's how you can do it on your calculator and come up with that fractional answer. Okay? If you're not sure what I did there, that's actually a really worthwhile thing to learn separate from this skill. So you can either watch the video again to really kind of understand what I did there, or you might consider sitting down with me to just ask that. But if you look on the answer page, or the bottom of the lesson page, and you look at the answer for number 13, you'll see 16 and 8/13 units. And instead of coming up with a weird decimal number and rounding it off, which won't be exact, you should do it that way. Okay, I hope that makes sense.